Massive protests against Donald Trump and his regime erupting in Los Angeles. It's not being covered at all by corporate news. We cover it here at the MeidasTouch Network. You see the people in Los Angeles rising up against Donald Trump's ICE raids. Donald Trump not handling it well. So yesterday, Donald Trump once again ran to the roof of the White House, and he was going to rant and rave like a lunatic, and I think someone had to pull him back down and say, "Don't do that again, Donald." How do I know that? Well, if you look at what the White House pool report was saying, this is what they wrote yesterday at 5:02 p.m., right around the time we saw those massive protests in Los Angeles. From the White House pool, it appears POTUS may have canceled his plan to go out on the White House roof again. Security positioned on the roof has gone inside. Secret Service is still holding the pool in place, however, in case POTUS does indeed go onto the roof. And then shortly before that, the White House pool report said, the pool has been informed that POTUS is headed to the roof of the White House. We are now positioned outside. You'll recall earlier in the week, Donald Trump was ranting and raving like a lunatic from the roof of the White House that he wanted to put nuclear weapons on the White House. He was being asked, "What are you doing up there?" He said, "I want to put nukes on the roof." And people are like, "What?" And then he started saying, "I bought all of this." He was pointing around the White House in D.C. "I bought all of this. This is mine. I paid for it." Let's go back to the protests taking place in Los Angeles. Here is another angle. Non-stop protests happening in LA. They're not being reported or televised, except for here on the MeidasTouch Network. We are the media now. Here, play this clip. Now, Donald Trump not just getting protested in Los Angeles, the Trump regime getting protest in the UK. Shout out to all our UK viewers at the MeidasTouch Network. J.D. Vance was going to the Chevening House in the United Kingdom to meet with David Lammy, their foreign minister in the UK, after Donald Trump engaged in what may be the most humiliating foreign policy and diplomatic blunder in the history of the United States of America regarding the meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. I'll get to that in just a moment. My, how humiliating for the Trump regime and the United States of America. But here are our friends, the Midas Mighty in the UK, protesting J.D. Vance at the Chevening House in the United Kingdom. Here, play this clip. Now let's take a look at what David Lammy posted. He goes, "Today I hosted a meeting with J.D. Vance and others, leaders in Ukraine as well. The UK's support for Ukraine remains ironclad as we continue working towards a just and lasting peace." So, the most humiliating blunder in diplomatic history. So, Donald Trump sent his real estate bro, his real estate friend, Steve Witkoff, who's like very Trumpy, bizarre dude. And Donald Trump's made this guy the envoy to Russia. This guy has no foreign policy experience, no diplomatic experience. You'll recall during Witkoff's 4 previous meetings with Putin in Russia, Witkoff used a KGB agent, one of Putin's spies, as the interpreter for Witkoff. That's a no-no. You bring your own CIA people, your own embassy people. You don't use the KGB agent as your interpreter, but Witkoff, with very little experience, that's what he did. So Witkoff met with Putin and then apparently told Donald Trump the following, that Putin had said that he was going to withdraw from Kherson and Zaporizhia, these regions in Ukraine. But it turns out what Putin said is, no, we want Kherson, we want all of Donetsk, we want Zaporizhia, we want all of this for Russia. So Putin said, this is going to be ours, we're taking it over, and we will only agree to meet with Donald Trump if Donald Trump supports a plan where Ukraine has to give Russia Ukrainian territory that's highly fortified that Russia has not been able to take over in the war thus far. I just want you to think about that. And now what the Trump regime is saying is, oh, we got the translation wrong. And it was really the European allies, former allies of the United States, now part of the coalition of the willing, the real leaders of democracy right now is in Europe. They met with Zelensky and they called and they put Witkoff on the spot. They had 3 separate calls yesterday with Witkoff and Trump. And they were like, dude, what the hell is going on, Witkoff? What happened at that meeting? And the first call, Witkoff said, oh, well, Putin told me that he was going to give all of this land to Ukraine and that we would have a ceasefire. And Putin said that we're good. And so then the European allies back-channeled a little bit, called Witkoff again. They go, that's not what we heard, Witkoff. Tell us the truth. What happened with Putin? Witkoff gets a little bit shady again. The European allies and Zelensky have a third phone call as well. And also, they were pushing and pressing J.D. Vance at the Chevening House there as well. They were pushing him and saying, dude, what the hell had happened? What went down? And then Witkoff finally admits, oopsies, Witkoff says, I think I may have got this wrong. It seems that what Putin probably told me is that he wants Ukraine to give up all of its land, and then maybe Putin would consider a ceasefire, maybe after Ukraine gave all of the land that Putin couldn't take over. To me, this meme sums it all up right here. As Sean Penner says, a weak man. Never thought I'd ever say this about any United States president. Donald Trump says, you have my word, I'll stop the war in 24 hours. I'll stop it in 2 weeks. I'll stop it in 10 days. I'll stop it in 50 days. I'll stop it on August 8th. Actually, I need a few weeks. Utterly pathetic. But you have to think, Trump's leadership, it's people like Witkoff. It's people like, and it pains me to say this, Laura Loomer, 9/11 conspiracy theorist. The most vile stuff spews from her mouth. Right-wing extremist. She says the most horribly misogynistic, ugly things. I've done other videos on Loomer, but even Fox, their national security correspondent, Jennifer Griffin, she does a really good job, by the way, though. And she says Laura Loomer is knocking the Medal of Honor recipient in a new attack on Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, who is close to J.D. Vance. Radio silence from the Department of Defense and Army. Hegseth met with Loomer in recent days. In other words, Laura Loomer is running like the Defense Department at a high level. She's getting the key meetings and influencing American policy. She was also recently at the State Department as well. I'm going to do a whole other video on this, folks, so check back in 90 minutes or depending on when you're watching this in the day, just go through the MeidasTouch feed. You'll see the video that I'm going to do on Zelensky standing up to Donald Trump, publicly rebuking him. And so as I mentioned, Zelensky and the European allies, they first had to smoke out Witkoff and all of his lies and what really went down in Witkoff's communications with Putin. Once they did that, it was easy for Zelensky to say, no freaking way am I giving up Zaporizhia, Donetsk. I'm not giving up this territory. We control the territory. It's heavily fortified right now. We control it. Russia wasn't able to take it over in the war. Why would we give it over to them? And then they're not going to stop. They're just going to use that, take away our fortifications, and then further invade. Like, no, we're not doing that. But what Zelensky said is, I'll do a ceasefire first. If you want to talk about reciprocal territorial exchanges, we can talk about reciprocal, but we're not just going to give up Ukrainian land. What the hell are you talking about? And then we want ironclad security guarantees for Ukraine to join NATO. That's what we're going to do. So that was conveyed by Erupt and Zelensky. Now, while that was taking place, Donald Trump was with the Azerbaijani dictator on Friday, as you know, and this video emerged yesterday. So Donald Trump has a special section of the White House. I'm not sure if this is the White House gift shop or if this is right by the Oval Office area. It looks like a gift shop, but this is what they have in the White House right now. And Trump, speaking to the Azerbaijan dictator, showing him Trump 2028 gear merch. And Trump saying, hey, maybe I should run again. Everyone wants me to run again for 4 more years, even if it's not allowed in the Constitution. Then the dictator for Azerbaijan is like, you should, Mr. President. You should work. You should. Dictators, we run forever. Watch this embarrassing display. And Donald Trump has a whole shelf of Trump 2028 gear in the people's house. Again, I know this is, maybe in the swing of things, especially with Trump's traitorous meeting with Putin in Alaska. This may seem like a small thing, but it's a walking, talking, visual violation of our Constitution that he's like, look, everybody, I'm going to be a dictator while he crashes our economy. Here, play this clip.
You're not allowed to run. I've been so, because I'm 28 points higher than anybody. Yeah. Everybody wants me to run, but
including us.
It's funny. So this drives me crazy. Look, 4 more years. I go 4 more years. So it's sort of cool. Fellas, come on, grab what you want. That's okay.
Then there were other symbols as well, like what he did to the Rose Garden, ripped it apart, and it now is this like disgusting concrete jungle. It's so freaking bizarre right now. And I want to mention this as well also. As Tom Hearden posts, there's no mystery why there's zero comment from the White House, from Trump, about a domestic terror attack that happened in Atlanta on Friday. I want to bring it up here on the MeidasTouch network. It was a black police officer who was killed in the line of duty, and a Center for Disease Control employees who were targeted by a right-wing extremist terrorist who was activated, if you will, or who became extremist because of all the lies about the CDC and all of the stuff that they say. Truly, Donald Trump is the worst POTUS in history. Atlanta officials confirmed this was right at the Emory University campus, the headquarters for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, with all the right-wing anti-vax stuff that's out there. And a black police officer in the line of duty, shot and killed. No mention at all. No mention at all from the Trump regime. And also the initiative yesterday from the Trump regime. And they're trying to find more ways to go after universities. Like they attacked UCLA. They're demanding a $1 billion tribute from UCLA, or they say they're going to shut down UCLA in California. They're going after Harvard University. And by the way, in California, Governor Newsom saying, we're going to fight the crap out of Donald. Don't touch UCLA. Then we know the Trump regime's attacking Harvard. They want to control all aspects of Harvard's admissions and political viewpoints. They want them to be MAGA education at Harvard. So one of the ways they're going after Harvard now is they want to shut down all of the patents that come out of Harvard. So Trump ordered Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, to basically revoke the patents from Harvard and take them away. And anything that they can do to try to shut down Harvard. Because at all levels of what this regime is doing, they're trying to destroy the United States of America. I don't know how else to look at the behavior and say, this is the exact behavior you would do if you were Putin and you wanted to destroy the United States from within. You know how Donald Trump uses the term enemy from within? He's the enemy from within. His regime is. They're quite literally doing everything to destroy America from within. That's why it's great to see those protests that I show at the outset. Keep them going, folks, and we will make sure we cover them here at the MeidasTouch Network. I'm proud of all of you out there. Great work. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thank you for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.